enough to get my sneakers off, but I was too tired. I couldn't get my pants and shirt off. So it was a very, very, not to be ultra, it was a very, very bad scene. And I just came to the conclusion that this wasn't going to last much longer. And the boat is unfortunately being carried by the surf, and I am not. So it's 75, you know, it's getting longer. So, and in the meantime, I'm getting tossed down. Every time I toss down, you get more tired. So I made one last sprint, which is really all I had, and I just said, God, give me the strength. And I made it to the back of to the stern of the boat, and you just keep driving. And I just reached up, my hand went into the boat. The boat is now upside down, so I could reach up and grab the engine exhaust on the stern. Okay, so just, you know, big hole, you stick your hand in there, and the boat all this time is still in the surf line, but it's getting tossed around. At least I've got something to hold onto. At this point in time, oh, I don't know how many minutes had passed. You know, maybe 5, could have been 3, don't know. So I'm holding on. I have no idea where anyone else is at this point in time. And the boat is rocking around, and you know, I'm in the water. It's a big gray boat when it's upside down. So I grab onto the exhaust, and above the exhaust is plates called zincs. And they just take care of the fact that it's an aluminum boat in salt water. Okay, but that's not terribly relevant from an engineering standpoint. It might be. Grabbed onto them, crawled up, and you know, you're in reverse because it's upside down. Crawled up and then got onto the stern and grabbed onto the screws. And the engines had stopped when it turned over, so they weren't running, okay? But the propellers are sharp, so you got to get by the propellers because you get tossed around and you try to grab on to the rudders or the shafts for the propellers. So I get up there, and now I'm okay, all right? And I look towards shore, and I see the boat had a small cork life raft, which you couldn't get in, but you could hold onto. And it flipped off as it was made to do when the boat went over. So 4 crew members were holding on to the cork life raft. And they had grabbed life jackets, didn't have them on when the boat went over because they wouldn't have gotten out the door. They had gone, as the boat went over, we had life jackets on a bunk back aft. So they grabbed the life jackets. So a couple of them had life jackets, and they were holding on to the cork life raft. Okay. So the best thing I could do for them is just try to communicate with them and make sure they were all right. So, and meantime, the wind is blowing. Okay, what's called spume, whatever it is, off the top of the waves. You know, it's all foaming and white and foggy and everything else. So I'm yelling to them, and you know, I want to know your name, talk to me, anything I could think of to just keep them conscious. And that kind of worked. All right, and then after a couple of minutes, I could see that another swift boat, a fellow named Tom Jones in the 80 boat, had come out, and he hadn't gone through the surf line. He was kind of on the edge of the river mouth, and it looked like he might be able to get to them without doing the same thing I did. Okay, I did. So they looked all right for the moment, and I was holding on. At this point in time, myself, 4 people on the raft, and I'm missing one person. Okay? And that's my leading bosun mate, a guy by the name of Bill Fielder, who I was very close to. And I figured that I had lost him because we're now probably 5 or 10 minutes into this ordeal, and I couldn't see him. So, you know, then what hits you there is you have a whole set of emotional hurdles. I mean, the first one being when the boat goes over, the second when you can't get back to the boat, then you've got a high when you do get back to the boat, and then you worry about your crew, and then it occurs to you you're missing somebody, and that's a low. So that was kind of a very depressing set of circumstances, but then all of a sudden I look down the stern and he pops up. He has been in the main cabin in an air pocket for, I don't know, maybe 10, maybe 15 minutes. He's there with a t-shirt and a pair of undershorts, and so I reach down and I grab him and I bring him up, and he's in pretty good shape. And it's amazing because in the main cabin, upside down, we had lockers in the deck where we stored boxes of 50 caliber machine guns. So those would have opened, and as soon as you went upside down, they weren't latched because it didn't work that way. So I'm just, thank God he didn't get hit by one of those things. They probably weighed 50, 75 pounds. Now, fortunately, it wasn't a sunny day, but there was light out. It was 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, so there was light because we were still on the surface, and some light came through the windows of the boat, even though it was upside down. So he was able to go to the cabin, go over to the side of the cabin where we had sliding windows, and either he kicked one out or he was able to slide it and get out. So he got out. So we got him up on the boat, and so he, like myself, he's holding on to the rudders and hanging on to the screws, and we're still yelling to the crew. So for that time being, we're in pretty good shape. Okay. Then it occurs to me that this boat is not drifting in towards shore. Okay. It is stuck in the surf line, and it's being carried to another surf line, and all these surf lines kind of overlap. So we are not going to drift out of this situation. And the boat is really being tossed around, and you figure it is 1/4 inch aluminum. It's not steel, and eventually this thing is just going to get beaten up. Okay, and you know, you get these shudders, and you wonder what happens to the boat when it's shuddering. So I look overhead, and overhead is a spotter plane from either the Army or the Marine. He's circling so that someone knows where we are, okay? And I knew that because the other swift boat had come up. And then there's another Huey helicopter, and he's circling. So we got a plane, we got a helicopter, but I know that none of them have lift capability. And a swift boat or anything else is not going to come out to us, all right? So we got a major problem that everybody knows we're here, but there's no way to get us off. And then, so a Marine helicopter comes out called an H-34 model, and he did have lift capability. So he has a winch out the side of the door of the helicopter. He lowers down what you call a horse collar, which is basically like an orange loop. And so I said to my bosun mate, you know, get in that. So I put him in that, and what it is, it goes around your back, under your shoulders, and there's a cable right here. So even if you're unconscious, you're unlikely to fall up. So you don't have to strap anybody in. Okay, you just put it over the thing and it pull you up like this, and it automatically pushes your neck back. And as long as you keep your arms down by your side, you won't fall out. It doesn't sound very scientific, but it does in fact work. Fortunately, on another ship, I had ridden one of those, so it wasn't of concern. So they hauled my bosun mate up, and he was fine. And then they lowered it down for me. And all this time, you know, the helicopter can't lower it because he's getting a lot of turbulence from the surf. He doesn't hit you right over the head with it. So you got to crawl up the boat a little bit to get in the horse collar. Well, you don't want to crawl up the boat and flip off the boat and fall in the water. So you got to worry a little bit about that. So he's up there, he comes down, and I get back up in it. And I put the horse collar on, and boom, they pull me out, and the swift boat's down there, and it's sitting in the surf. And for some reason, there was some delay in the winch. So I'm about 100 feet below the helicopter, and we're flying up the Qua Viet River towards Dung Ha. The DMZ's over there. You know, you really shouldn't be hanging from a helicopter. But the bottom line was a huge improvement over my previous condition. So so we were saved at that point in time, and I was beat up a little bit, as was my bosun mate. But I wanted to thank the pilot. So the pilot in that H-34 helicopter, he sits up in the front with a co-pilot on a little bit of a pedestal. So I'm back in the main part of the helicopter. So I crawl up, and I want to thank him. So the picture here is your typical Marine helicopter pilot. He's got the helmet on, he's got the radio, he's got the sunglasses, and he's got a water gun and a cigar. And so all I can do is it's noisy. I can't talk to him. I pat him on the leg. He just kind of looks over, looks down on me as if I do this every day, gives me a big thumbs up. Bottom line is, thank God, despite the fact we lost the boat, we saved everybody. And I went out later on with some frogmen, and the frogmen were going to attempt to put a line on the boat because you could still see it in the surf. So I didn't go out to the boat. I kind of stood on the edge of the thing and held the line while the frogman went out. So he went out and said, no way. He said, the pilot house has already broken off, and it's hung off, and he said it's like an open can. And he said, there's no way I'm going to try to attach a cable onto that boat. The cabin come down and cut me in half. That was the end of the boat, and all that came ashore was the silverware drawer and the life ring, and I still have the life ring sitting on my house down the Cape Cod. So that was November 6, 1967. Last patrol for PCF 76.